All right, my friends, welcome to episode 2 of Casual Creative Convos with Zach and Rob. Zach, how we doing this morning?
Amazing, amazing. It's a beautiful start to my day here in Bogota, Colombia. I got a nice cup of cacao, just settled in and feeling the flow.
Nice, brother. Yeah, I just had a nice green juice and MVP Sport chocolate protein with some nice mushrooms, digestive enzymes. And I actually had breakfast this morning pretty early. Usually I fast until like 11 a.m., 12, sometimes 1. But this morning at 8:30 a.m., cooked up some scallops and some peas and scallions and what else? I had someone else too, baked beans. And so, feeling good this morning, but my appetite's definitely going. So excited for a nice conversation here.
Nice, that's awesome. Yeah, I was just thinking about that. You're talking about enzymes. So why do you put enzymes into your drinks? Like, what's that do? I'm like really clueless when it comes to enzymes.
Yeah, so I actually just did a podcast with Matt Gallant, the co-founder, CEO of Bioptimizers. And so two big takeaways I have from that podcast is he really harps on probiotics and enzymes. So, most of us are deficient in probiotics in our gut because, we're eating processed foods, we're cooking everything, we're killing all the live enzymes. We're not eating, dirt like we used to. We used to not wash everything off, be so sanitary. So probiotics obviously are huge for digestion. And now digestive enzymes, similar. Similar thing. When you cook things up to too high of a temperature, we lose those digestive enzymes. So when we're not eating raw foods, we're not getting a lot of those enzymes. And so the enzymes basically are what break down the food so that our probiotics can absorb them. So we're not really, like the human body isn't really absorbing the food. It's really the bacteria that's absorbing the food, and then we get the byproduct of what the bacteria create. So basically the enzymes help to break down the food for our bacteria so that we can digest it. And that's why, you think of like if you see corn in your poop, it's like you didn't break that down. So you didn't absorb any of that. You basically just like put it in one hole and came out the other end. So with the digestive enzymes, it helps to break things down. And also a lot of us just have, buildup of junk in our bodies. So it actually helps to flush things out by breaking things down. So one big thing I learned in that podcast is that, if we consume digestive enzymes in a fasted state, it's actually going to clean house in a lot of those like stored deposits of whether it's protein or fat or carbs or whatever, and actually break that down so your body can use it. And, people talk about like, oh, how like excessive protein is bad for you. It can cause like kidney stones or whatever else, what other claims they make. And that's undigested protein. So when we actually break the protein down with the digestive enzymes into the amino acids, which is what we actually utilize as the amino acids, not the actual protein, it's a much more effective way to get the most out of what we're eating. And so we all have digestive enzymes in us, but again, most of us don't have enough. And as we age, typically, we eat more and more junk food. We're not replenishing our microbiome and our digestive enzymes. So they're really, really helpful, I find, especially if I'm going to eat a big meal, just to kind of, get the most out of it.
And then regarding like natural food sources or sources of digestive enzymes, so where are some places that you can find or like different foods, or what are natural sources like instead of having a supplement also?
Yeah, I think generally speaking, it's like eating raw foods is really good because a lot of, say I go to my garden I'm looking at right now and take a snap pea, and that raw snap pea has, enzymes in there. Picking up, getting some dirt from the carrot that I pull the ground is going to have, that raw food. So again, unfortunately, most of our foods are, cooked or processed, so we don't have digestive enzymes in there. So generally eating a portion of our diet raw, I think, is important. But just for the sake of convenience, I like the supplements simply because, I know what I'm getting, and it's nice to have that, especially as I said before, a heavy meal. Or just any meal in general. Like if I'm eating a cooked meal, it's nice to have that in there if I don't have much raw food on my plate.
And then on the other side of that, I'm really interested in probiotics also. And What are some probiotics that you like to use, like supplements and also like natural food sources?
Yeah, I mean, I think, like I said, I think the best one is eating dirt. Like,
Really, like eating?
well, let me phrase it, not dirt, soil, eating high quality soil. So, if you think about, have you seen the documentary Kiss the Ground on Netflix?
No, I haven't seen that.
Highly recommend. That one's really good.
Hmm.
But one thing, they talk about is how we have all these microorganisms in the soil, whether that's bacteria, nematodes, worms, whatever. And so when we're picking up dirt or soil, I like the word soil, dirt is basically dead soil. So when we're picking up soil, we have millions, if not billions, of microorganisms in our hand in just a handful of soil. So if we're
Hmm.
consuming that, that's actually filling up our gut with all those little microbiomes that are little micro organisms that are going to help with digestion. So making sure before anyone goes out there and starts eating soil, like make sure it's a healthy soil. Because again, just like if you're eating like from a conventional farm, you're going to be getting like the glyphosate and the other garbage that's in there. So make sure it's, healthy soil, first of all. But when I pull my carrot out of the ground, I eat it with the soil on it. I don't wipe it off. To me, that's
Mm.
an added bonus. Like I'm not going out there eating handfuls of soil, but when I'm pulling my vegetables out of the ground, I'm eating the soil. I'm not washing it off or anything like that. So, you know, homegrown food with good soil, I think, is a great way to get probiotics. And then things like fermented foods, fermented veggies, kimchi, sauerkraut, a good yogurt, an organic grass-fed yogurt, kombucha. Yeah, those are great natural sources. And then again, even too, is just any old vegetable that's organic that is not washed off can have a lot of good bacteria in there as well. And then
Wow.
yes, it's basically just kind of not overthinking it. And I think that it's important to be clear on sanitation and hygiene. But at the end of the day, it's like we tend to be, in my opinion, over sanitizing everything and washing everything. It's like, well, we kind of need some of those little healthy bacteria in there. So I think at the basic levels, if you can grow your own food or have a reputable farm, just eat the dirt right on it.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. Here in Bogota, there's actually a lot of like organic farms and like natural producers outside the city, and so I've been shifting and buying pretty much all my food like locally and organically. It's been the biggest change that I've seen like has been with eating local and eating like really good organic foods. And it's kind of crazy, like people, there's a lot of people that don't believe in that, like the fact that if you eat organic it'll make a difference.
Right.
But what I found is if it's local and it's local organic, there's definitely a huge difference because the food's not traveling so far, and it just like there's way more nutrients in it as well.
Yeah, I mean, even just a local fact is, every day or every hour, even that it's, being shipped and it's not in the ground or in your body, it's like it's losing nutrition, like it's oxidating, like just like anything. Like you leave a piece of bread out on the table for a week, it's gonna get stale. It's like oxidation happens, and that's just kind of slowly depleting the nutrition. So, yeah, if you're eating local food, like you said, it's not traveling as far. So just right there, there's better nutrition because it's not waiting a week before it gets from the ground to your plate. It may be a day or maybe 2 days, but even if it's saving 12 hours, like that's still going to be making a difference. And, to that point as well is eating local foods, you're also getting those local probiotics, which are more important for your microbiome and your overall health. Like if I'm eating food from Italy, like if I'm eating, probiotics from Italy, like, yeah, that may help me in some degree and would definitely help me if I went to Italy. But like right now, like a lot of those microorganisms aren't living in the United States in Boston where I live. So a lot of it is just kind of recognizing, the more we can eat organic and like you said, local food, that's kind of the real key. Like I said, with your own garden, is where our immune system is going to be adapted for our environment. So if we get all the little microbes that are here, that's the best thing we can do. And a little travel hack that I learned a while back from a nutritionist, that as soon as you land a new place, go get some, fermented veggies or yogurt or something that's local. So you're building up that local microbiome, and then you're not going to get sick while you're traveling. And especially when I was in Asia, that was a big thing, because, that's a whole different ballgame for me being from Boston. They go to Asia, it's a whole different atmosphere out there. So, I got local yogurts and, whatever I could do to get some local probiotics in me.
Well, that's amazing. Like, I feel like it's the one part like people really overlook, especially when they're trying to improve their health. They're like, all right, I want to do, look at movement, exercise, like all these fads, like yoga, meditation, right? But then they do all these different things, but forget like, oh, my food is really important, and kind of neglect that. So,
Well,
yeah.
Zach, here's the other side of it too, is people that even focus on really good food don't even think about the fact, am I even absorbing this? And is my body even able to use this? Because if someone goes from eating McDonald's every day and they've been wiped with antibiotics and they've been wiped with all these processed hormones and all these other things that are in, these highly processed, basically dead foods, and they try to go switch to an all organic diet, they may not even have the gut health to absorb that. So they could be eating all the best foods, and they say, oh, I didn't feel any better. I switched all organic, I didn't feel any better. It's like, well, yeah, because you're not absorbing it. It's just going right through you. So really shifting to focus on probiotics and enzymes, as I said from the last podcast, like I knew that, but it kind of reminded me, like, I kind of forgot about how important that is. And that may be the best starting place for someone who is switching their diet. Like, as you're focusing on making the switch to organic, like, do the best you can, but first let's heal your gut. First, let's make sure you can actually absorb this stuff. Otherwise, you're going to be spending a lot of money on really expensive quality food, but not even getting anything out of it. And it's kind of a crazy concept to think of how many layers there are to health. And one thing my mom always says, like, oh, being healthy is like too difficult. Like it's too confusing. Like there's too much to it. And it's like, well, that's why we got to just kind of start one layer at a time. And I think, with all the neurotransmitters and hormones that are also released from the gut, like, things like depression, I'm not making any claims here, but, things like depression, anxiety, a lot of these other, mental challenges can start to subside as a side effect of healing the gut.
This really is bringing like a lot of things back with like plant medicine for me. And the reason is because like the work I've done now, like working with different plants, I've seen that the common theme is like purification. And the purification is always through the gut. Like purging is a big part of a lot of plants. Like ayahuasca is a big one for purging, but it really does, it cleanses completely like your gut. And it can be even used to like get rid of parasites and really heal, that bacteria, like really cleansing everything out and returning it into like that natural state. And it's something that people kind of, they skip over when they look at like, okay, all right, I'm gonna have this experience with like DMT, but they don't see that it's not just the DMT and the visions. It's about the actual physical healing sometimes too. And similarly with Kambo, I'm not sure if you heard of Kambo, but it's another natural medicine that makes you purge, like you physically like release lots of toxins out of the body. And so in a lot of these ancient cultures, there's a tradition of purging, like getting rid of anything that you don't need.
Yeah, and what that makes me think of is that it's generally, this is a general statement, but generally it's better to remove one bad thing than to add one good thing. Like let's take, if you're a chronic cigarette smoker, if you take away cigarettes, that's going to be much more beneficial for your health than adding meditation. Like, yeah, meditation might help, but if you're getting a toxin out of your body, that's going to help a lot more to take away one negative than to add one positive. And like you said with the purging, sometimes the best thing to do is to get rid of all the negative habits first. Just like if you try to, add probiotics to your diet, you're still eating McDonald's, which is filled with antibiotics, it's not going to be doing much. It's probably going to be helping a little bit. Yeah, but you're not going to be seeing much of a change. Or if you cut out the McDonald's, that's going to make a big difference. So it's really an interesting, paradigm shift that people often think, oh, it's adding more and more and more. But sometimes it's actually doing less. It's taking away things first and kind of getting down to that core level. And, about a week or so ago, I was having some trouble sleeping, and my mattress is bad, so I'm switching that out pretty soon. But it was like I got some, like sinus, inflammation, and I was like, what is this? And I realized, oh, it's allergies. And why do I have allergies? Because my immune system is compromised. I used to have allergies all the time growing up, but since I've been really, proactive with my health, I haven't had allergies in like 4 years, and I kind of like forgot what it feels like. And then it reminded me that it's not so much about doing all these things. So I'm still doing the same things, but I need to take away the bad mattress. That's the bad part. So by taking away that, everything else is going to improve. My sleep will improve, my immune system will improve. And so it's interesting, like you said, with the purging, that oftentimes we need to start by taking away first and then rebuilding from a clean slate instead of piling on top of a dirty mattress, so to speak.
Such a interesting metaphor, because I feel like our traditional approach in society now, it's like, the traditional approach with medicine, it's like, okay, we'll just pile it on top.
Band-Aid. Right? You're putting a Band-Aid. You're covering it up.
Yeah, you're just piling it on top, right? You're not actually going to the root, and like a lot of people aren't healing the gut, right? Or you're not purging. And here's a big thing, right? Paul Chek is like, I feel like one of the masters of holistic approach to healing. And whenever I think of holistic, I think of like the mind, body, and spirit. And so I feel like we've identified right now like a really, really key thing for people that are listening, like the fact that if you physically heal the gut first, like by purging, that's like your base. And I think there's also another like connected healing foundation that would apply to like the mind and to the spirit as well. So I feel like, okay, physically healing the gut, like purifying the body is like where you would start if you had any kind of problem. But where would you think it would be, mentally or spiritually? Like, how would you do that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, well, first of all, like you said, I think they're all kind of tied together. So by healing one, you will be healing the other. Like we said, with the gut health, it's going to be helping with the mental health, because it's going to be helping with, hormones, neurotransmitters, all that. But, I think a lot of it also does come down to, getting things out. That's what I like about journaling and, like talk therapy. Yeah. Like when we have a conversation and we're just like, oh, like this is challenging. And as soon as we say it, we start talking about the challenge, whatever it is, all of a sudden it's not as daunting. Because now it's not in our head, it's like outside of us. We're not attached to it as much. And so I feel like at the very basic level, it's getting, those negative feelings, thoughts, and emotions out of us, and whether that's onto paper or just speaking it aloud. Because like, again, people can do positive affirmations all day, but if they still these deep-rooted negative beliefs, like, again, it's not really going to be doing a whole heck of a lot. So I think a lot of it is getting to the core of, what's challenging us. And then maybe even before that or after that, depending on, where the person's at, is figuring out your why. What is your mission? Like, what do you want to do in this world? Because we basically live in a golden era that we can basically do whatever the hell we want. Like today, I could hop on a plane to Colombia like probably 2 hours from now. Like as fast as I can get to the airport and get through security, which would probably be about 2 hours, like I could do that.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's pretty crazy that we have that ability. And, you know, the other thing is too, is, you know, that comes with some drawbacks, is that people need to be recognized. You can't just be so impulsive and just make these decisions. But at the end of the day, that comes back to having a centered why and a grounded approach. Like, where am I going? What direction am I moving in? And I think that in and of itself makes a huge difference. Because even on days here where it's like, you know, I feel I'm pretty on my purpose and I'm overall very happy with my life, there's still days that I'm like, oh, what am I doing? Like, I haven't like made any money today. I haven't had a good connection today. Like, I'm kind of like getting in my own head because something hasn't happened today. Even though yesterday was phenomenal and I have all these great plans for tomorrow, it's like sometimes we still get caught up in like, oh, right now it's like, you know, I haven't done much today or accomplished anything. But then I catch myself, I was like, hold on. Have I been moving towards my greater purpose? 99% of the time the answer is yes, because sometimes doing nothing is actually the best thing to do, so we can kind of step back. So before I keep rambling here, I think the answer to your question that I would say is, you know, getting things out of our head and getting clear on our purpose. And a lot of that also, I think, is healing relationships. I think that we tend to hold on to, you know, past traumas. So yeah, that's kind of what I would say. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on that as well.
I'm just like taking notes here, and you said something that really stuck out to me. First, like getting things out, and then getting out of your head. And like maybe healing the mind is actually about getting out of your head, like connecting more into the body still. So like this is crazy. It's like going back to the body. Like
Right.
like how can you go back? Because I think part of the imbalance that we have in our society, especially in the United States, is that, you know, we're so stuck in our mental ways, like our beliefs and those stories. We're stuck in our stories. And it's so important to like what you're saying, get out of your head. How can you get out of your head? And like, you know, I think the body is a practice, like practices like movement help us get into our body, and though it's not necessarily like we're not necessarily working mentally on a practice of like cleansing the mind. It's like cleansing the body cleanses the mind already.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that, you know, like you said, sometimes the best thing we can do for our mind and spirit is actually moving the body, which comes back to the physical. And
Yeah.
it's when you were saying that, I was kind of envisioning like the, you know, infinity symbol, that it's like, you know, if we call one side mind, one side body, in the middle is kind of like that spirit where it all kind of flows through. So I was kind of envisioning as you're saying that, like this infinity sign where it's all connected. So, you know, if you want to help heal the mind, you know, focus on the body. If you want to help heal the body, focus on the mind. If you want to help heal the spirit, like focus on both. Like, it's not like you can really dissect one. I think that is a common, I don't know what the right word is. It's a loophole in our scientific system that we try to dissect everything into individualized parts. But at the end of the day, you know, nothing really is individual. Like this plant right now, I could say, oh, it's just a plant, you know, that's giving me oxygen. I'm giving that carbon dioxide. And just because we can't see it doesn't mean it's not happening. Just because it's like it's not tangible and I can feel like, oh my God, I'm getting oxygen from this plant. It's, you know, we are so connected with everything around us. And I think that's a really important piece to recognize, that, you know, maybe it's your environment. Maybe you live in a toxic environment, and that could be like toxic from, you know, pollution or mold or whatever is in there. But maybe the relationships of the people you're living with, you know, maybe those are toxic, or maybe they have a toxic relationship with themselves, which is rubbing off on you with their energy and their verbiage and their body language. So there are so many layers to this, it's unreal. But I think at the end of the day, it starts with, you know, we got to take responsibility for ourselves and just look in the mirror and be like, what can I do today to help my body, mind, and spirit? All these other people, all these other outside forces, yeah, they're going to impact me at a conscious or subconscious level. But what can I do to be the change I want to be the person who will embody, positivity, love, compassion, presence? Who is that going to be? And what can I do today to get there?
Yeah, that's so important. Like focusing on this present moment, focusing on what you can do right now, and don't try to make it so complicated. Just be like, okay, I can do this right now. Like I can go for a walk right now, or I can have like a nice meal for myself at this moment.
Yeah, and a lot of that comes down to responsibility too. I think that with what this whole pandemic has shown to people is that, people are waiting for someone else to make them happy. They're waiting for a stimulus check from the government. They're waiting for a vaccine for them to feel safe. It's like it's all this, outside force, like, oh, these people will make me happy, or these people will make me safe. But it's like, we need to look in the mirror and take responsibility for our own body, our own health, our own happiness and sanity. It's like, if we're giving someone the power to tell us when and how we should be happy, when and how we should be fearful, when and how we should live our lives, it's like, we got to wake up to that, because the government's not here to save us. They're not going to save us. Like, the only people that can save us is us. So we need to focus on ourselves and take responsibility for that. And it can seem scary and daunting, but at the end of the day is like, you see these people that have chronic injuries, chronic illnesses, chronic, just like stress, whatever. And it's like, well, if what you're doing before it got you here and you're listening to this authority figure, do you really think that by continuing to listen to them, it's going to give you a different result? It's like, no, you gotta start doing something different, or else you're going to keep getting the same results.
Yeah, that's so key. Also, it's like the it's like it's what we say, right? Our thoughts and actions create our reality, and everyone can say it, right? But to really observe it and to like really live that is different, because when you really see like how our thoughts, like when you experience it for yourself, like oh, like this thought I'm having it's shifting the way I'm experiencing this moment, like this um like a situation, for example. And I actually, in the ayahuasca ceremony I had this past weekend, the two things that you just mentioned came up. First, the part about like the mask, and it was so powerful because actually at the ceremony, like at first everyone was wearing masks, and they're even like giving out, like handing out masks because people were afraid like the police would come. and and we were like in the middle of the mountains, like we were like nowhere near like and like even the police came, they're not going to come and like arrest like every single person that was there, right? So like this concept of fear, right? So first, I think the fear is being used right now to control people, um, and people are afraid. They're afraid to be fined. They're afraid to go to jail. They're afraid of like what happens if they don't wear a mask, right? What are the consequences? But the other side of things is like no one would have predicted this a year ago, right? So in this reality that we're living in, um, we're living in the reality where the whole world in this dimension, right? Everyone's wearing a mask because that's what the people in the government said. But you get to see, like looking behind it, there's something like spirit or the universe is sending a message as well. And to see behind the mask, right, is really key as well, because understand why is spirit putting this mask into this reality for us to learn something, right? And so during the ceremony, I was like lying on the earth, and I had the mask that the people were giving out, and I just like emptied my pockets, and I saw it again. I just put it on the floor. I was like, like, and then I was looking at it at a moment, and when I laid on the ground, like looking at the mast, I was just like laughing to myself, like, wait, we're living in this reality where the whole world is basically, wearing masks to be in public. And then I like looked beyond that and saw like the symbology as well of like, you know, you're we're masking our ability to communicate, to like express our emotions. Is like we're literally putting it on our face, and we can't actually understand like what someone's feeling on like that physical level. But at the same time, it's like as a society, we've gotten to the point where we were already doing that. We're already masking like how we actually feel, um, not actually, building community, not doing these things that we know are really important for our health. And so I was looking at it, it was just like, yeah, that's what it's teaching us, like that right now it's like the time to, not be afraid of expressing ourselves, like take off the masks that we've created, like the identities that we've created. And it was so powerful to just to like really witness that, to really witness the fact that there's a huge teaching beyond the mask. And that was a big thing that I realized too. It's like, what's the teaching, what's the learning beyond everyone wearing a mask in this moment?
Yeah, that's a wonderful reflection. And, I really just hate going out in public now. And, part of that is just, it just doesn't feel humane. Like it's, we kind of lost our humanity. Like you said, you can't see people's emotions. And for me, in a different lifetime before this was a reality, I used to like to go and just like, smile at people, like,
Mm-hmm.
like a lot of my body language was communicated through smiling. And it was like, you'd see some cashier who you could tell was having a tough day. And then it's kind of like, hey, how's it going, with a little smile. And, all of a sudden, like, you could see their energy changes. Like, whoa, like this person's talking to me. They're smiling at me. Like, what's going on here? Like, obviously, I'm not thinking that consciously, but it's like you can see that energetic shift. And now that same person, you can go up to them and, there's no smile. Same words, but the body language isn't there. And it's completely different. Like, I don't feel their energetic shift. It's kind of like, oh, just another masked person just like making small talk with me, where they can't see like I'm actually saying like how's it going, because I'm interested, and like, I want to try to make your day a little bit better if I can.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, it's just like, walking around, it's like this fear, just this energetic fear, tenseness. Like, is this person going to come towards me? Should I go away from them? Should I avoid them because they might have the fucking plague? It's like,
Mm-hmm.
it's like this whole just strange energetic paradigm that we made for ourselves. And like you said, sometimes I just sit back and laugh, be like, I can't believe that we're doing this. And that like the vast majority of the population is just accepting this, that it's like, oh yeah, this is normal. It's like, no, this is not normal. And, I don't want to get too political with this thing, because it's become political. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like the whole mask shaming. If you're not wearing a mask, oh, you're a shitty person. But it's like, by the numbers, this virus is statistically insignificant by the numbers in terms of the death rate. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what I feel about that. I think it's, it's sad. Like, it's sad to me seeing people that, I feel like I could help with small gestures and small acts of body language. Now I can't. And, knowing people that work in the mental health field saying this has been the worst time for them ever. Like, this is the busiest they've ever been, because, there's that lack of connection and lack of humanity. And, it's just sad to me to be watching this unfold, and, sometimes just kind of feeling helpless. Like, as I said, like before, I kind of walk around and feel like I could make people's day a little bit better just by, being around them. But now it's like, is it making their day worse by being around them because now they're living in more fear because now there's someone talking to them.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's such a weird place to be right now. But like you said, it's trying to get behind the mask and be like, all right, so this is happening, and clearly people are okay with accepting this. So if that's what they want to do, I'm going to do it my way because this is what I believe in, and I believe that this is for the betterment of humanity and actually making people healthier by, not wearing a mask. So it's like, what can we do to improve ourselves and improve the lives of those around us? And, part of that just comes down to, how can I impact the people in my small circle? And if that's
Yeah.
all I can do, that's all I can do. And, I'm going to do the best I can with that group.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. I definitely resonate with what you're saying about like feeling even, yeah, at times like helpless, like, wow, like, or everyone's actually doing this. Like, I almost in disbelief as well. And it comes down to really thinking about this on a deep, like the deepest level, right? I feel like the connection we were talking about the body. I think in the spirit, it's really important for people to have spiritual practices to observe themselves and also observe what's true, like what's truth. And there's a lack of spiritual practice right now. Like in the past, there was, the last 5 years, and even people that sometimes people use like, or we use meditation as like, okay, this is not as a spiritual practice, but like a physical practice. But as a spiritual practice, what it does is helps us observe truth, and so like going through that, I feel that that more people are waking up as well because of the mask, which has been a
Right.
blessing. Like because people are being pushed to like their limits of like, they're getting to the edge, to the breaking point of like, oh, is this true? Like they're starting to question more of the things that the government's saying. We're in the first election where we like a majority of people don't really believe in any of the candidates, I would say. And it's kind of like this ugly beautiful situation that's happening. It's like we're creating this large separation, but at the same time, we're creating this sense of unity because we know it's important the more we spend time like separated. And so it's almost like it has to get even worse for it to get better.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that. And I think that, the way I kind of see it right now is that we're like a balloon. And, the balloon is filling up with air very quickly, but a balloon can only fill up so far before it pops. And I feel like we're kind of getting to that point where, maybe that's 3 months from now, maybe that's 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, however long we let this continue to go on. But eventually that bubble is going to pop.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually that balloon is going to pop because it can only hold so much air in there. It can only hold so much pressure. So, and sometimes, like you said, sometimes we need to, kind of go one route to recognize, oh, we definitely don't want to go here. And that's
Mm-hmm.
part also kind of the human condition to some degree is that we like to, push our boundaries and whatever you believe in. If you believe that the government is doing this as a means of control to, see how hard they can take this, that could be true. But also to some degree, it's part of the human condition that it's like part of me can't blame them. Like if that's what's happening, I think it's wrong. It's morally unjust, but part of me also can't blame them. It's also just kind of the human condition is we try different things. We try to push things in different directions just to see how far we can go before it's too much. Like same thing with exercise. Like sometimes we lift more weight just to see if we can. Like, can I do this? Or is this going to like, is this bench going to collapse on my chest? Like, but sometimes we want to push that boundary for the sake of pushing the boundary. So I hope that, like you said, by experiencing this, we recognize that if anything like this ever happens again, we will not take this approach because this is not the best solution. This is
Oh,
a lot more people than it's helping, in my opinion. So that's my hope. And my hope is that, like you said, we're having this awakening amongst most people that allows us to, look at things from a less fear-based perspective, a less scarce-based perspective, a more clear focus that it's like, look, I can see this side and I can also see this side.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not judging either, but this is what I feel the truth is. And this is the direction we need to move for, because it is going to be for the betterment of people as a whole. And I do believe that we are moving that direction. It may not seem like it, but every single day that someone wakes up and says, fuck this, I'm done with this, I need to improve myself, like that's a step in the right direction. So I do feel like there's more and more of those moments every day. Like even, I tolerate the mask. I wear it, but it's like just I wear it because I'm not breathing my own shit. Like it's below my nose, and
Yeah.
so it's like I do it simply because it's like it's not worth getting to an argument over something. Like that's not helping anything. But I also believe that I want to breathe in fresh air and not my own regurgitated air. So, or be oxygen deprived by breathing in not fully. But point being is that the other day, when I had that moment at the store that I tried to smile at someone behind my mask and just didn't make them better. I was like, part of me was like, fuck this. Like why would I even, like, I don't even want to go out to public anymore. Like if this is just going to cause me stress, and clearly it's causing other people stress by people being out in public, like, maybe for now I just get things delivered if that's what it needs to be, so I can, do the best I can to help people, whether it's having more conversations like this or creating more content or just taking some time away to work on my spiritual practice to ground myself. And then leading by example, whether that's, I go into a fucking rabbit hole for a week or a month or however long, but when I emerge, recognizing that energetically I can help people at a deeper level. So, there's a lot of question marks in the world right now. And I think at the end of the day, it just comes down to how can we improve ourselves and take responsibility for our own lives, not wait for someone else to save us or tell us this is okay or this is not okay. It's like we need to be more in touch with our own sense of self and our own gut instinct, our own inner voice, our own mind, body, and spirit, and not let someone else hijack that control. Because if we do, are we really any better than, the people that we blame for being bad or brainwashed or whatever? Are we really any better than a freaking robot if we're just letting someone control us by their own dictation? So it's an interesting place we live in, and it's, but I do think we're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, for sure. And I would observe that thought, right, of, one thing being better than the other. I think what's happening is that there's the thought of separation, and then there's also, the belief in unity. And I think on a deeper level, on a more simplistic level, we've just believed more in our separation, right? We've believed more in the identities and the ego. We're not saying the ego is a bad thing or separation is a bad thing. We just believe so much in it, right? So it's all imbalanced. And the other side of things is like we can believe in our unity. And I like the word like community because it's like our common unity. If we come back to our common unity, if we just have more thoughts and beliefs of like, okay, this person that, they're wearing a mask, they're having a bad day, but clearly I'm connected with that person too, because we're in the similar situation, right? We're all in this similar situation of wearing the mask or, going out in public and questioning these different things. And so the more we believe in our common unity, like our community, the fact that we're going through different challenges, I feel like the more we're shifting already. And the more we believe in our separation, like one side versus the other, the more we're actually playing into what the people up top definitely want us to do, right? And it's just like when we can focus our thoughts on community, focus it on unity, I think that's when the shift will happen. Like when it's already happening, we're starting to shift into this like, okay, realization that community is important, that we are truly one. Like every single person on this world, in this world at the moment, is affected by what's going on. So if we use that and we focus on that versus like our separation, I think there's going to be like a really big shift in like the mental state of how we're living.
Well, what that just struck up in me is I think that why we are so focused on separation and division is because we're separating and divided within ourselves. And that's
Mm,
really what it comes down to, is that our own mind, body, and spirit is separated. Our ego and our our own being is separated, divided, conflicted. We don't know what is true health. We don't know what true happiness, true love, true connection, community is within ourselves. So now we project that outward because we don't have it here. So we don't know what that looks like. So that's where it really comes back to. If we want to see more connection, we want to see more community, common unity, we need to find unity within ourselves. And I think that's really coming full circle with everything we talked about. We need to have a community of gut microbiome, of probiotics in our gut. We need to
yeah.
have, a unity between our mind, body, and spirit. We need to have a unity within our family. We need to have a unity within our friends. And we need to have a unity with the world at large. So by focusing on ourselves first, it's like what Paul Chek always says, the I, we, all.
Mm-hmm.
If we cannot focus on the I and find, love, compassion, unity for and with ourselves, there is a 0% chance that we will find that elsewhere in the long term. Of course, yeah, you may find a partner for a year, and that's kind of that honeymoon phase. And that's why things tend to fizzle off, in my opinion, because people aren't whole in themselves. They're looking like that whole idea of, oh, that person completes me. That's bullshit. That person doesn't completely. Like, complete yourself and then grow together. Be two complete parts working together, not two half segments trying to combine in some puzzle that won't last, because eventually your two pieces are going to fall apart. Where if you're two individuals connected in unity, that's where you can shoot up and grow together. So at the end of the day, I think it just comes back to, we got to focus on ourselves, and we got to find that community within ourselves. The mind, body, spirit, take responsibility, and that's it.
Yeah, I agree. And I love that the visual imagery. I had to laugh a little bit because the visual imagery of like the community of your gut biome, like whoa. Or just thinking about that was like just thinking about like okay, your cells, right? The unity of your cells, like when they're working together to, you know, what you were saying too, like to achieve a purpose. So when when your whole body, like every cell in your body is working together to make whatever your purpose is, like whatever your dream is, be manifested. That's so powerful to think about. It's like even deep down into like the microbiome, like
Yes.
within you is like all these cells are going together, coming together in this union of who you are, like who Rob is, who I am, right? And we're making it together. Like, okay, that's the I. Like, okay, we're moving in the direction all together, like with union with ourselves.
And I think we could talk about this all day, but I think the kind of the big thing I just took away from there is that, we're the captain of the ship at the end of the day. We're the captain of our own ship. And like you said, our own microbiome or our own immune system can attack itself, like an autoimmune disease. It can attack itself. That's because the captain of our ship is leading it in a direction that is not aligned with health and its own purpose.
Mhm.
That's usually a chronic disease that is an autoimmune disease, is usually related to chronic stress, usually related to, poor lifestyle, things that build up over time. It's not like, you don't get a chronic disease overnight. It's why it's a chronic disease. It's kind of, it's long lasting because it's built
Mhm.
up. So at the end of the day, recognizing we're the captain of our own ship, and we want our microbiome to be working with us, we want our body to be working with us, our mind and spirit to be working with us. We need to captain that ship by having a clear direction, because the captain of a ship isn't just spinning the freaking wheel, adjusting the sails haphazardly. It's like, no, look, this is where we're going. And yeah, we may get blown a little to the left when the wind comes, and a little bit to the right. We may get pushed backward by the waves, but this is where we're going. And if we can become clear with that mission, that purpose, and align with unity, our mind, body, spirit, our thoughts, our microbiome, that is bringing everything into unity and building a community within ourselves. And once we have a community that is aligned within ourselves, now we can expand outwards. But if we don't have the community and try to expand outwards, that's where challenges arise.
And just like wrapping it up, something that you're saying, and like I'm very poetic and I love playing with vocabulary. You said like within ourselves, and I also heard like within ourselves.
Yes, yes, I like that.
I was like within ourselves, like yeah, we're like within ourselves, like if we have that deep purpose, like that deep purpose of like the direction within ourselves, like I think that's really powerful too. Like we don't really think about it that way, I think. And we think of self sometimes as a little self. It's like the ego self, but within ourselves, like I like that. It's like within the cell.
Got to feel it down to cellular level. I love that too. It's, aligned in all cylinders, get all cylinders firing, all chakras firing, however you want to look at it, brain, heart, gut, however version you want to look at it, everything in alignment, everything in unity and community. And that's where we move forward. So Zach, this is another wonderful conversation as always. It's funny how we start off with digestive enzymes and end up here. So that's the beauty of these conversations. Everything is connected and we just go with the flow. So I just want to express my gratitude to you and express my gratitude to everyone listening, and, express my gratitude to myself, because I think that's something that I don't do enough, is show myself, gratitude. I show myself love, but I don't think I show myself enough gratitude. So I also want to thank myself, thank you for showing up this morning and, creating a piece of work that I think will hopefully resonate with very many people and hope to improve their lives. Even if that's one person, helps them shift 1%. To me, that's a worthwhile cause.
Yeah, thanks, brother. It's been so beautiful to share this conversation. I feel so fired up, like within myself, within my cells, like within my purpose. So, wow, it's been amazing.
Absolutely, my friend. Well, yeah, I feel fired up too. So I'm going to go get a nice workout in, give my body some love. So have a great day, my friend. I'll talk to you soon.
Amazing. Yeah. Peace.